Hi, I'm Willie Bryson. Welcome to Fly Fishing in the Maritime Provinces in Canada. Today I'm going to do a short video on how to take care of your rod, reel and line ready for the next day out or the next fishing season that's approaching. Now I live in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. In Cape Breton we have what's called the Brador Lakes. It is an estuary that's fed by the Atlantic Ocean. It is tidal and it's salt water. However, many rivers and streams flow into the Brador Lakes throughout Cape Breton Island. So this is a great way for the fish to come in from the Atlantic Ocean and run up the rivers to spawn. So therefore, there's a lot of great sea trout fishing within the Brador Lakes itself while you're waiting for them to make it up to the rivers where you would fish through the late spring and summer. So for that reason, you have to take extra care with your rod and reel if you're fishing in the Brador Lakes or the salt water. So today I'm going to start with that. Now there's no way that I would ever go without fishing the Brador Lakes because it is salt water and I've got a little extra effort to clean my rod and reel afterwards. So I try to keep it quick and simple. Now first of all, you take your reel and just separate it like that. Now I'm not too worried about the line on it. I'm going to clean the line afterwards. But first thing I would do is just dump it into a bucket of warm soapy water. Now I just use simple dish soap and let it sit for a couple of minutes. Now it doesn't take a lot of work to do that. Afterwards we're going to clean the reels, clean the lines, and we'll get it ready to go for the next day out. So the first thing, once it's in there, just give it a shake around and take a little cloth and try and get into the surroundings of the reel, especially the outsides where salt can make a difference and the shaft where it can affect your drag. So, simple as that. Give it a shake and then let it drip. And the same for the other part, the spool that's got your line on it. Just as much as you can do, wipe it off with a cloth. Just give it a good shake so that it's getting right in there. And then, in this case with this reel, all the drag system is internal. So I just take a Q-tip and give it a quick rub in to make sure all the salt is out. Like that. Just wind the line back up. And again, let it drip for a second and dry it off. It's that quick and easy. Now when I come in from fishing the Brador Lakes, I would try and run it under warm water, warm fresh water, right away, just over the line and everything to get rid of any excess salt. Now for the rod, it's the same thing. You take your sponge or your cloth and you get right into your rod around the eyes. Now I can take a toothbrush, or I normally take a toothbrush to get right in there to make sure that the salt isn't sitting against the threads, eventually eating them away. So again, a little extra care needs to be taken with those. And then you would just dry it off with a towel. Okay. So I've quickly rinsed out and washed the salt off of my reel. Now, next thing I want to do is try and put some lubricant back in. Now you can go out and you can buy cleaning solution. Bucket of soapy water does just fine. But you will eventually need some grease and some reel oil. So that's really the main components. So for this, I just take a bit of the reel oil, put it over the shaft, as well as some inside. And again, take another Q-tip and just make sure you're getting it all around. Put it back in. It's winding with no issues. And you can check the drag, and the drag is working fine. Play around with the drag at different settings. You want to make sure that it's a continuous drag, it's not sticking at any point in time. So that's it. You know, it's nice, quick, easy, like I said. Now from your line's been sitting in soapy water now, and I do this every now and again as I put line cleaner on it. Your line has to be slippy enough to go through the eyes of the fishing rod. So one of the things you can do is go out and buy ply line dressing. I don't recommend it, but it's something you can do. I prefer to use Armor All Original. Now, I'll pay about $8, $9 for this big thing of Armor All. And I'll pay the same price for this little thing of fly line cleaner. So because I do it more often, fishing a lot of salt water, I prefer to save a lot of money and just use the Armor All. Now if people try and talk you out of it, I've been doing this for about 10 years, using the Armor All Original on my line, and it's never affected or deteriorated any of my lines. So there you go. So now, first thing I'm going to do is just strip down my fly line till I hit the backing. The reason I go down to the backing is if you are fishing for salmon and you get stripped down to your backing, you want all of the line being cleaned and easily slipping through the eye. So there we go. So you can feel the residue from the soapy water. So one of the things you might want to do is just take a towel and give it a quick wipe just by pulling it through. Now, so it doesn't tangle up, we'll pull it through to the other side. And by doing this, it also lets you go right down your line in feeling if there's any nicks or bits and pieces that could cause a problem when you are fishing. So there we go. So now what I'm going to do is just take a cloth, same as this, it's got a little sponge with it. I just take a cloth and I'm going to saturate it a bit with the Armor All. And then starting at the end of the line, just start dragging it through. Now if your line does have some kinks in it, I would tend to hold it really tight and pull it, and that way you're helping stretch the line out a bit as well. But just not too fast. You want to make sure it's getting a decent coating on it. And this acts like a wax on your line. There you go. Now your line's been well lubricated, and again you can still feel it, it will dry in. And now you want to wind it back up onto your reel. A lot of times I find this easier to either take it apart and hand wind it, or put it onto the rod where you've got a little more control and winding it on. There you go. Now I take my cloth that's got the Armor All on it and I rub each of the eyes of the hook and then right up the shaft. And by doing this, you'll find that the line slides through the eyes much easier when you're casting, and you can cast a longer distance. And there you go. When fishing, I primarily use 2 knots. The first one is a surgeon's knot, which I'll use for tying my backing onto my fly line and my fly line onto my leader. Now, alternatively, you can buy these braided loops which slide onto your fly line. It's a bit of a pain, but they do work if you want to go that way. I don't like them because the edges start to fray over time, and then I've got to replace them and start all over again. Besides, I find it unnecessary to spend the money on them. So I'm going to take my fly line about 8 inches. I'm using backing so that it's easier to see, and my leader material, like so. The first thing I'm going to do is moisten this so that it slips together, the knot slides together much better. Now, simply by using saliva, which seems to work best. Like so. First thing I'm going to do is create a loop, holding on to both the fly line and the leader. In my left hand, I'm going to pass through both the fly line and the leader once, twice, three times, and one more is 4 times, like so. And then we're going to start to pull this together. Now, at this point, I would suggest lubricating it one more time. And then pull it together, like so. And there you have it. That's your surgeon's knot. Hold on to the fly line and the leader and pull tight. Make sure everything's nice and tight. And then trim off the excess ends. Like so. And then fly line is a little bit difficult to see with the towel I'm using. There we go. Pull that. Like so. We'll give this a little tighter trim. And there we go. The next knot I use is a clinch knot. I use a clinch knot to tie my fly onto my leader. So we'll take the fly, in this case it's a woolly bugger, and we pass the line through the eye, and I hold the fly tightly, and then I pinch the two pieces of line together just in front of the eye, and I take the end of the line and I twist it about 4 or 5 times. That's 3, 4, 5, give it one more, 6, and then take the end and pass it through the loop. Okay, once it's through the loop, just to hold on to the end with your fingers and pull. Once it's fairly tight, you can let go of the end and pull it even tighter. And there you go. There's your clinch knot. Just trim the excess off. And that's ready to go. So you've got your fly on your leader, and you have your leader onto your fly line. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button, and if you'd like to see more videos, please subscribe. It helps me make more of these videos for you, as I'm looking forward to the new season starting to catch some fish. In the meantime, have a great day, stay safe, and tight lines.